Okay, so today I'm going to walk you through a retirement plan from what the client brings to us at the office to what we recommend. This one might not be the best example. What I'm going to try to do with this series is kind of hit everybody. Like, hopefully, you'll see yourself in one of these videos. It'll hit close enough to home that it'll give you an idea of what you need to be preparing for and how you need to be preparing. So today we have Harold and Monica. These are two folks that came in. Background on them: he worked for his whole life in apparel, knew the business inside and out. It was specialized apparel, not just this kind of stuff, and worked for a mom and pop shop. The son took over, didn't treat him right, wasn't really helping them with their retirement, helping the employees with the retirement at the time. So they parted ways with that company. They lived off the 401k. He spent it down quite a bit, maybe half of it or more. They moved here, and now he's in the ministry, getting a salary from a church. Um, he's retiring imminently. He only has, if you look here, this is IRA as it currently stands. He only has 120,000 in it right now. Used to be a lot higher. And his wife Monica, she has 100,000 from inheritance, and that's kind of her money. She doesn't really want to touch it, but I'm still going to make a recommendation because they don't have a ton of assets here. Definitely behind where you need to be. We're going to see if we can get them. We can maintain their quality of life in retirement. That's always the goal here, is to get people through retirement without making a huge shift in lifestyle downward. But in this case, it's really going to take everything they have. She doesn't quite like that, but they asked for my recommendation, so this is what I'm going to show them. The way it's parsed out now, as it currently stands, we have Harold's IRA. We have they're separate, but I just put them in one column because I don't like a bunch of columns. They have Roth IRAs they're contributing to. They're using a catch-up provision. They're dumping about 8,000 each into a Roth at the moment. So 16,000 a year is going into a Roth account. They have a joint checking and savings. That's an emergency fund. That's for if the roof blows off. And here in South Texas, we are getting more tornadoes probably than ever before. So that's a real possibility. That's the roof budget. Monica, her 100,000, which she doesn't really want to touch. She lives in fear that she's going to have to contribute, and I don't blame her really, because it's not a bad amount of money, but for retiring in your 70s, you could use a little bit more. She uses her savings right now as kind of a trading account, which is great. I love trading too. Who doesn't like a little bit of trading on the side? The problem is we have to identify opportunity cost of her trading, her managing the trades versus handing that off to someone else. She came in the first meeting. She was very proud of this account, column 4 here. That's her trading account slash savings, I suppose. She was very proud because that morning, really that week, she kind of day trades, swing trades a bit. That week, she had made $16 on a stock. She was very excited about that. We just have to figure out what else could we do with that. Could we beat $16 a week with this 100,000? We'll get to that answer shortly. They have their home here. I have it appreciating at 3%. You could argue with that, but that's realistic where we're at in our area over time. It's about 3%. She also has inherited miscellaneous goods that I put at 2%. Appreciation, it's probably optimistic, but it was kind of a consolation. She really cherishes the stuff, and maybe it will. Some of those things probably will go up. It's China. It's stuff you end up with for inheritance, and there's nothing wrong with that. And occasionally you can sell it piecemeal for a little bit of profit. They're taking their Social Security already, which is column 10 and 11. I'm getting out of order a bit. My bad. That has COLA, of course. I put it at about 2% on average. That's what you'll get. And his salary currently at the ministry is $68,900. So almost $69,000 a year. That's going to go bye-bye within the next 5 years. They don't know exactly when, but they would happily work for another 5 years. And there's a few other contingencies. He might be retired sooner. But that's what we have to work with. That's how things are. Now, what do they want? Because this is important. We always ask, what is the purpose of the money? Because if you don't tell me the purpose of the money, I'm not going to make you a good plan. That's just the fact of it. You can't just give me money and ask me what I do with it. Because what I would do with it as a 26-year-old is probably wildly different than what you would do with it as a 70-year-old. So that's a question only you can answer whenever in a situation like this. What is the purpose of the money? The purpose of the money that they told me was to replace this income, the ministry salary. That's 90% of what people's money is for in retirement. Sometimes there's some variance. Some people have more money, some people have less money, and maybe replacing this income isn't the goal for everybody. But for Harold and Monica, trying to get as much back of that $68,900 that they're going to lose in a couple years is the point of his 120. As it currently stands, it's just in a stock account. It's not particularly aggressive. It's getting a blended return, which when you get a blended return, you have to ask, are there fixed things that could do better? Because, for example, last year, there were what's called MIGAs. They're kind of like CDs. They're little annuity things. They pay a fixed interest for a fixed amount of time. They had them going 10 years at 6% guaranteed interest. We have clients that have been taking 4% out of $1 million in trading stock accounts, equity securities, and it's been replenishing happily. But you have to ask, at some point, based on the amount of risk you're taking on for the amount of income you're going to withdraw from that fund, when does it quit making sense to be in the market? And we love the market. Now, I'm not showing market accounts on this one when I show you my plan, but we typically do when there's more assets here. But my other client, the example in this, from what I'm talking about, trying to stay on track, he was taking $40,000 from $1 million every year and breaking even. He's been doing this for years, which is pretty good. But then you have suddenly sitting on the sideline something that's going to get you 6% for 10 years. So you could he could immediately get a 50% raise on what he's taking every year on his income and completely eradicate the risk. So there come situations, especially when you're nearing retirement, you come across situations where you have to really grapple with that and ask yourself, for the purpose of the money, which in this case is to replace income, and not lose it, because they don't have a lot to lose, does it make sense to be in the market? Why are you in the market? Why do you feel the need to be in the market? Is it because that's what you've always done? Is it because that's what people say you should do? Your coworkers and people you talk to, people on YouTube? Is it because every day when you're at the gym, hopefully on the elliptical, you're getting market news? You don't have to be in the market, people. All that matters is the result. Don't forget that. So anyways, he's in the market right now. He's getting a blended return. I made the numbers optimistic here. These are not his real numbers. He's not getting 6% a year. But I'm trying to illustrate an average return. His return was just simply, it was probably more realistically 3 to 4 after fees. But I have him here, your standard client, you'll see, getting 6%, taking out 4% is what I have, the withdrawal. So he's taking out $6,000 a year. It's going up a little bit as the account's going up a little bit. But you have to remember, these numbers look good. And this is where he stands. This isn't my plan. The numbers look good, but realistically, as these years go on, as the world does what the world does, there will be down years. And you got to ask yourself, when you only have, let's say there's a down year, first year. Let's say he gets to retirement, market's down. It's not 154, it's 132. Do you really want to take that 6,000? At that point, do you really want to take 6,000 when you're 20,000 down from the year before? You get a little nervous to take that 6,000 because then it's that much harder to get back up to 154, and that it's even that much harder to even grow it, to even gain ground from that point. So we kind of believe that money in the market should typically be reserved for funds after you have your beans and rice budget handled. That's the first thing we do here is we're going to handle baseline your bills. We're going to make sure to the best of our ability for you that you can pay your house note, you can pay your insurance, you can get groceries. That's step one. And we don't recommend gambling with that money. So that's how he's currently set up. Like I said, I have the numbers better than they really are here. Most people aren't getting 6%, even though maybe 6 to 8% is the average in market returns. Most people are getting a blended return because if you ever go look at your portfolio in the little pie chart, it's in 30 different things. So you're not going to be getting raw market growth. You're going to be getting a blend of safe products and risky products. And if you ever ask your advisor, if you're in that kind of situation, go ask your advisor how much you'll lose if the market drops 10%. They don't know. And there's nothing wrong with that. It works for 90% of people, especially in the accumulation phase. But something to think about. I have their joint Roth here, also getting 6% invested aggressively, taking, I believe it was 4%. I have to double check. I don't remember exactly what I took out of there. Checking and savings, I just have sitting there getting 0.5%, which is, it's in the bank. And then Monica's trading account, again, extremely optimistic here. Monica made $16 that week. And that was kind of the highlight of her trading account, which isn't bad. I'm not trying to denigrate Monica's trading ability, but like I said, we have to ask what else can be done with the 100,000 to go towards keeping your house. I have her getting about 3.5%, taking out 4%. So this one goes down steadily over time, but that's realistic when you're managing your own account. Even financial advisors aren't good day traders, so every now and again, someone's a hit at day trading, but it's more people. You would know someone who did it, and they would have a G-Wagon if it were done successfully very often, but most of us don't know that person. Their home, I have appreciating 3%, already went over that, and then the miscellaneous. So this is the outline. They're going to be making about 120 in his last year of work if he makes the 5 years, if he doesn't retire sooner or later. And they're going to be going down to about 65,000 in that first year. That's a lot to make up. But they're not going to be contributing to their Roth anymore. That's 16,000 back in their pocket that was going out of their pocket when they were working. So, they're not going to have to pay that. Taxes will go down, and their cost of living is it's between 60 and 72,000 a year is their cost of living. So they're barely making it. They might have to make some adjustments with this plan. Now, like I said, this plan looks okay, but this is assuming the market only goes up 6% every year for the rest of time, which is not going to happen. I can't say a lot of things with a certainty. I can tell you the market is not going to go up 6% year over year for the rest of time. That I can guarantee. I will bet $20 on that. So we need to replace his income. That's what they asked me to do, and do it safely in a way where they're not gonna lose their standard of living. Another thing I may have not said before I go to the next slide: when they moved here, they also bought a house. So they have 30 years on a house. They're 2 years into that, and that's something that you're not going to want to lose. If you're renting, if you're staying with family, you don't need so much income. Maybe I know people. I have clients that happily live off $1,000 a month still, if it can be believed. But most people can't. Like I said, their monthly expenses are between 5 and 6. So do the math there. It's going to be tight. So what I have I have a plan that covers their baseline only because all they have is baseline. I'll have more plans posted where people get a raise in retirement even. It happens. But for this first one, we're going to show what it's like when you've done all right, but you need to think about retirement maybe a little bit more than others. So I have put his 120 into a private pension. Full transparency, spoiler alert, it's a fixed index annuity. Whoops. Think what you will of that. They do a certain job, and that job they do well. And in this situation, when we need to squeeze the most income possible out of a very limited asset base, that's what we go with. When we're handling those recurring cost insurance, mortgages, groceries, things like that, we tend to go to private pension, fixed index annuity with income rider because that's going to come in for the rest of time. As long as both of them are breathing, it's going to come in. You might ask, is it like a pension? Because it is like a pension, where once I start taking that payment, that monthly payment, because that's what we're getting it for, is for a monthly payment, a paycheck, does it vaporize my lump sum? No, we do not do that here. If they passed away, anytime this still has an account value, the rest goes to their son. So what's it going to produce? We put a 120 in here. It's going to get a 10% bonus. That puts it to 132, and that's going to grow at 8.25% until he takes it. So he could wait longer. He could take it longer, and this would go up. He could take it sooner. It goes down a little bit, but we have him taking it at year 5 when they told me. That's going to produce $12,553 while both of them are alive, till both of them stop breathing. It's very simple. It's just a pension. That's all it is. It doesn't get much growth. We don't use it for growth. We tell people to throw growth out the window, which is kind of a big philosophy change from working and accumulating. But when you get to a certain age, it's not about growth, it's about income. You need to maintain your lifestyle. You're not trying to get rich anymore. You're trying to not be broke. And that's what we try to achieve with this. That way, we live by Louisiana. They could take it to the casino, lose all of it that month, and the next month it's coming in. I have their Roth basically the same aggressive, taking I think 4% withdrawal from that over time. Hopefully it grows, but like I said, we know it's not going to get 6% every year. Take that as needed. You could suspend it. You could take more if you need to. That one's infinitely adjustable. But that's how I have their Roth, and we are no longer contributing to that. Her money, her trading money, if she takes my recommendation, produces $10,460 a year. Now, I don't know if that would beat her $16 a week over time. She might hit it big. You never know. But if she wants the guarantee, which I think she needs, they asked for my opinion, I think she needs to take this guaranteed income because she's going to get the most bang for her buck. If you look down here, the bottom, we have what's taken out of the accounts over time. Now, mind you, they have good health. They got good genes. They might live to 102, 103. I could adjust the years. Most of us won't. But if they do live that long, he'll have taken $351,471 out of his 120. That's his IRA. And that $100,000 that we're getting $16 a week from, she would have taken $292,893 if she lives that long. So that's how those work. We're buying pensions with it in this scenario. We don't do that all the time. I don't want you thinking that that's all we do. It's not. It's for a specialized. There's a reason for it, and when the reason comes up, we use them because they work best. Now, if they had more money, we would add more columns. But let's see what that gets them. Everything's the same basically from their current plan. All I did was add the 2 annuities. That's all I did. And that gets them to a guaranteed baseline income year 1 of $78,000 and $78,075. And it goes up a little bit because they have Social Security COLAs. It goes up a little bit with inflation. I don't have them taking any extra. And, let's compare it to the old one. The old one, if they're using the 4% rule on market accounts, they get $65,000. With this, they're using the guaranteed income from the private pension annuities. They're going to get $78,000 guaranteed. That's money that cannot be interrupted. The only thing that can be interrupted in this column, as far as income goes, is this Roth account, and that's about 3,000 a year we're taking. So that they might be down 3,000 a year if they choose not to take that on market down years, but that's about the variance. And so their cost of living is 5,000 to 6,000 a month. They're very comfortable with that. This gets them a little bit over that. We're not rich, but they can afford their house, they can afford their bills, groceries, all that, with peace of mind, knowing that if they get sick, if something happens and they're not working, the bills will be paid the month after. So this is one of the most basic plans we do. There's not extra money here to be invested aggressively because we love the stock market. We do. But in this situation, I genuinely don't think the stock market's appropriate. You need to cover your bases first. You don't want a month when you're working with this amount, and I'm not denigrating the amount. It's incredible that people can accumulate this with the ups and downs of life, because their account total here, house and all that, they have $750,000 net worth currently. That's not easy to get. Is it enough for a super comfortable retirement? No, but it's still admirable. This is the plan right here. This is how we do it. This is step one. Here's a development though. A windfall for him that's coming in the future. She does have some inheritance coming, probably in the ballpark of $300,000, which would be a game changer if it's spent wisely. It doesn't go to a G-Wagon. I don't think they're going to do that. But if they spend it wisely, that'll change their life. They can either add to the income, or if they take our recommendation, we'd probably put that aggressively in the market with stop loss. Again, that's where our philosophy differs a bit from your average advisor. Is instead of diversifying, we just put stop losses in there. So you link up to the NASDAQ or the S&P, you're going to get all the up, but if it goes down a certain amount, we'll kick you out into cash or bonds, whatever you choose. And it's just, like I said, it's a philosophical difference. You could argue about that, but they tend to do quite well, especially over time. And you don't get that blended return from this original plan. Like I said, you get closer to this actual 6% when it goes up than like a 4 or 3, but that they don't have that yet. When people have windfalls coming, when they have potential home sales, when they have inheritance coming, let's not factor that into the baseline. You don't want to get ahead of yourself, bite off more than you can chew, count those eggs before they hatch. We don't want to get in that habit. We want to act like that's never coming in, which is what we've done here. This plan covers their bases and gives them a little bit extra because they do want to go on vacations. They have some things they want. They might have to tone them down a bit. Maybe they want to go to Spain and Germany, but they want to go separately because they have different reasons sentimental reasons separately of why they want to go to Spain and Germany. They might have to make that one trip. They might not want to double that up. They make little compromises like that, but they'll be okay. They got a plan here where they can live. And once they get out of retirement, they're not going to see very much of a lifestyle change. And he has the expertise to where if he needs to, he could go back into what he was doing, the specialized apparel, as a consultant or a salesperson on the side. You can easily add another 20 grand to this just with some part-time work. He's the kind of guy that might go nuts not doing anything, and his health is there. So these people are looking all right. It's not the greatest situation ever, but they're not poor. They're not destitute. They're going to have their house, and they're going to be able to go on vacations and do Christmas and eat out. And that's kind of how we do it. I'll upload more of these. I'll try to make them different enough that, like I said, they can capture. I got this open. Whoops. You can see all this. I'll try to make them different enough that they'll encapsulate different walks of life. So maybe, like I said, you'll be able to see yourself in these plans. This might be you right here. Some of them will be smaller and they'll be tighter, and we'll have to squeeze a little more for income to make it work. Others will be the kind of plan that you always want. It'll be the kind that it's not uncommon. People come in here and they have enough assets that when we place everything the way they want, they're going to get a raise in retirement, and not just a raise based on a hypothetical 6%. They're going to get a raise just on the fixed side, just off their guaranteed income, and then they can go try to grow the rest, and that's always very nice. So I'll cover more topics. I'll get into taxes maybe a little bit. I'm not a tax guy, but this is kind of how we do it. What do you have? What's wrong with what you have? Why are you here? Why are you asking us? What is the purpose of the money? And when you tell us the purpose, we'll put together a plan. So this one isn't fancy. There's not even, the only market thing I have is this. This is the one with the stop loss I was recommending. I didn't really go over that. We'll go over that in another video. But this is the baseline. This is how we do it. Let me zoom out on that. And then you have the next 32 years of your life on this spreadsheet that we made for you. It's infinitely adjustable. So if you get a windfall, if you get an inheritance, we'll add that. If you take a cut, we'll add that. If there's a loss, we will update it from time to time. That's how we do it. Not much to it. So you take care, and I'll see y'all in the next retirement planning video. Bye-bye.